Welcome MattK with no good with faces and bad with names. No good with faces and bad with names, MattK.
Well, we all know the situation. You're walking along the street, or you're at the supermarket, or you're strolling through Southland on a Saturday afternoon, and they're up ahead of you, coming through the crowd, coming your way, is a familiar face that you recognise. And through the sea of unfamiliar faces around you on each side, you recognise a face that you know, that you've seen before. Your eyes widen and your pupils dilate as you focus in to see where do I know that person from and what's his name. And before you know it, the familiar face has recognised you as well from about 50 paces back, and he's looking at you as well going, I know that guy from somewhere. So you hold their gaze for a fraction of a second, but just long enough for you to know that he knows that you know that you've recognised him, and for him to know that you know him from somewhere. So you keep strolling along, pretending to be shopping, looking from side to side, looking in shops, checking your time on your phone as you're walking towards this mystery person. And before you know it, your paths have finally met. So you stop to talk, as if surprised. But of course you can't remember the name that goes with that face, and a moment of social awkwardness soon follows. Now of course you work around this situation by pretending you haven't forgotten the person's name. For men it's very easy, we use the word mate. So we say, g'day mate, how you going? Or good to see you mate. And it gets us out of that awkward situation. I don't know if women have the same sort of word that they can use, because they generally don't use mate. They say, g'day love. G'day darling. I don't know. But this common problem raises the question, why can we humans recognise faces almost immediately, but why do we always have trouble with remembering the names? Even after not seeing someone for 10 to 15 years, you see them again in the street, you immediately recognise their face, but unfortunately the name is not always as forthcoming as quickly. And to unravel this dilemma, we have to look at the two sides of the problem. How the brain stores and retrieves information, and also the main question, are humans even designed to remember so many names and faces? Scientific studies indicate that when we meet people for the first time, our eyes quickly map their face. So there's two fixation points that our eyes lock on when we first see someone. So it's just to the left of the nose and also just above the nose as well. The third fixation point is the eyes. So all this happens just in just a millisecond, where we look at a person and basically size them up. And the face creates picture memories of what that person looks like. It also includes things like their hair colour and if you've got any tattoos, that sort of thing, but that's sort of secondary to their eyes and those fixation points. So the facial mapping process is entirely subconscious, it takes only a few milliseconds, and we take those picture memories of what the person looks like. Those picture memories are then stored in the back part of the brain, so in the what's called the ventral stream, which is the back of your head, lower part of your brain. However, the names that go with those faces, like Greg or Gary, they are actually stored in another area of the brain, which is called the temporal lobe on the side of your head, or it's the lower side part of your head. So the problem is that the names and the faces of the people are actually stored in different areas of the brain. So getting them out at the same time when you need them out is often a difficult process. It's like saving your Christmas photos on your PC without any names or descriptions. In fact, saving the names and descriptions into another file. In a few years' time, you look back at those pictures, you're not going to know where they were. So the second part of this memory dilemma is whether humans are even made to remember this many names or not. And the answer is we're not. Consider our early ancestors who lived in caves or villages, sort of more the Neanderthal type man. The average person back then would have only probably known 20 to 50 people in their lifetime. It would be the people in their village, their extended family, maybe some other nearby tribes. Consider the average person living today, such as you and I. Over a lifetime we'll know between 6,000 and 10,000 people. So 6,000 faces, 6,000 to 10,000 faces and names that we'll know over our lifetime. And all this information has been crammed into our ventral stream and our temporal lobe. So just think about how many people you've known in your own lifetimes. all the kids you went to school with, the names and faces of those people. Think of your neighbours' names in the street where you grew up. All the students and lecturers that you may have known at university. Think of all the jobs that you've had in your life where you've known people in those jobs. And all the clubs that you may have been in, either sporting or social or Toastmasters. And do you know everyone's name in this room when you walk in on a Wednesday night? And of course there's all the people that you haven't known directly through your life. So most of us have probably watched about 4 decades of TV by now. So there's all the people we know, but we don't know them directly. Such as what were the names and faces of the Brady Bunch children? Or what was the name of Knight Rider's car? And it's not even a face. Or who was Whitney Houston's husband? Or the captain of Geelong in 2005. So indeed, over a lifetime there are thousands of faces and names that we're required to store in our memory. But the human brain has really only evolved to store maybe 100 at best. So like trying to download a HD movie onto one of those old floppy disks, it's trying to retrieve the information and watch it is always going to be a struggle. So in conclusion, it's a natural thing in the modern world that we're going to struggle to remember the names and faces of all those 6,000 to 10,000 people that we know in our lifetime. And the task is made even more difficult when you've got 5 seconds up at Southland and that person's walking towards you quite quickly. But the next time you are strolling through Southland on a Saturday afternoon, or at the supermarket, or in the mall in the city, and you recognise that familiar face coming towards you at about 50 paces, take out that it's evolution is the reason why you can't remember their name, and not a lifetime of alcohol abuse. You just have to stride forward confidently and say to that person, "Good to see you, mate." Thank you.